Just a few days ago, I had the honor of listening to a Hopi elder named Joe Aragon talk about his elders. He spoke of the depth of their relationship with what they observed in the sky. By coincidence, our service today will conclude with the words of Hopi elders. Nearly 1,000 years ago, in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, Pueblo people carved the petroglyph that you see here into a rock. Located in a prime area for tracking the path of the sun throughout the year, it's likely that whatever this carving depicts will forever remain a mystery. But some astronomers speculate, and this is compelling to me, that it could be the first ever depiction of a solar flare, made visible by a total solar eclipse whose path crossed Chaco Canyon in 1097. This place, where we are today, the place of our gathering in 2026, rests on the unceded territory of Awaswas and Mutsun speaking tribes of the Central Coast. The Amo Mutsun tribal band are descendants of indigenous people taken to missions Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during Spanish colonization. Today, the Amo Mutsun are working to keep their traditions alive and heal from historical trauma. Here at our fellowship, a subgroup of our justice team is working to honor Amo Mutsun ancestors by both supporting and learning from the wisdom of their descendants. Unitarian Universalism formed 65 years ago from two separate faith traditions. We tend to use either UU or Unitarian as shorthand for our denomination. I'm struck by the fact that the second U in UU seems to get short shrift. So there's a symbol for universalism, and here it is. It was created in 1946 by a group of ministers who called themselves not the Illuminati, but the Humiliati. The cross symbolizes the Christian origin of the religion, but it's off-center, showing that there is room for other truths. The circle symbolizes both the universe and all-inclusive love. It was a pretty radical belief to reject the fear of eternal damnation in favor of an eternal salvation where no one was shut out or shunned. And now, here we are, 80 years after the creation of this symbol, hearing the call to put love at the center. I see parallels between universalism and Buddhism, another practice with a large inclusive view. Our speaker today is Eliza Hannah. She's been a member here for 2 years and a practicing Buddhist for 25. I think you will appreciate her calm, compassionate presence. It's been a pleasure to work with her, and I look forward to the journey she will take us on today. We gather as many drops. We gather as many drops, each winding our own path down life's surfaces and ruts. But here, we pull together as a single body, flowing together for a time. Together, we are a stream, at times even a river. With our shared force, we can travel further towards oceans of meaning and seas of connection. We'll now have a short reading, followed by some silence, and then a suggestion. Please take a moment to get comfortable. You may want to take a couple more deep breaths with me, breathing in peace and breathing out love. Slowly and deeply in and out. And once more. Many of you will recognize this reading, but I doubt it will diminish its beauty and gentle power. This is The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and what my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Well, it's really nice to be here and see everybody. I'm going to give a little talk today. And tell me if I need to talk louder. Apparently, I don't. Okay. Okay.
It's like this.
Oh,
There you go.
okay, thanks. Get my notes. Thanks, Andy. You did such a great job. That was really good. Okay, today we're talking about accomplishment, achievement, and the many ways we think about it and the many ways we achieve. So we generally admire accomplishments. So if we read a great poem, or we have some favorite music that's just the right notes and just the right way to move us, or we enjoy some perfectly cooked food. These are achievements that move us to appreciate excellence in one way or another, and there are many more examples during the day. During Winter Olympics, for example, I happened to tune in during the ice skating performance. One by one, the skaters showed their skills, while others pulled their weight up, spun around in the air, and landed firmly. One skater was a standout. Her name was Eliza Hannah. She seemed to be lifted by wings. She spun around, and when she landed as softly as a feather. She was effortless and playful and joyous. It was just an incredible performance of excellence and an accomplishment that really moved me. So she said that I don't feel the pressure. There's nothing holding me back. When I see someone who has this kind of accomplishment, I just feel very moved. And for those who achieve, they receive rewards. They receive recognition, attention, importance, and esteem. And to be honest, don't we all need those things? So accomplishing something can bring these rewards for us too. Yet, some accomplishments have their own rewards, even if no one else notices. people get self-satisfaction. Eliza said also that the results matter less to me than how I feel while I'm performing. Abraham Maslow, who I don't know if you remember him at all, he's been around for a while. He was an early leader in describing levels of human needs and achievements. He said simply, realizing one's potentialities means working to do well at the thing one wants to do. And satisfying accomplishment isn't only relevant to a grand achievement. Pride in workmanship is another example, isn't it? It's something nobody maybe even notices, but you notice it. Let's look at another kind of accomplishment. Achieving is not only about doing, it's also about being or becoming. There's lots of achievements that don't fall into a category of achieving something that you've done. Dr. Rick Hansen has been interested in neuroplasticity and the brain for decades. He's also the one that came up with the term negativity bias. So you might have heard of some of his work. Well, if you don't know what neuroplasticity is, there's a really simple analogy. If you see a field of grass and you start walking across it every day, as you walk across, the grass gets flatter and flatter, and finally you can see a path. And eventually you're going to use that path because it's the easiest way to get across the field. You're not going to walk through the grass again, you're going to use the path. So that's basically what our brains do. If we repeat something over and over, we'll actually make a pathway that makes it easy for the mind to travel in that direction. And one of the key aspects there is repetition. You won't get a path if you walk down a few times and then walk another way a few times. It's repetition in the same direction. So what does this mean? Well, it means that the brain, our minds, have neuroplasticity, which in turn means we can create new neural pathways. We can create new ways of thinking. So the brain is capable, and the mind is capable of new learning. It can recreate itself and create new things. This continues throughout our life. Isn't that amazing? The capabilities that we continue to have. And you know, spiritual values can be developed in exactly the same way. A lot of Buddhist meditation is repetition on a theme or a feeling or a value. And there's a lot of people that do meditation of different sorts. But if you apply the same principles to spiritual values, you can see that there's a huge possibility, because our minds are so vast and so plastic, we can actually grow and improve and blossom the values that we cherish so much in our spiritual life. I'll tell you a story about how this kind of works without even trying. I was a teacher at an elementary school, and all the teachers in this school had yard duty. If you don't know what yard duty is, well, you probably do. You go out during, it's something you have to do, you're rostered in, everybody does it. And what you do is you go out on the playground during recess, and there's, 100 or more kids out there spread out across the whole playground. And your job is to scan continually for anything that needs help. A kid that's doing a dangerous thing, or a kid that's bugging somebody else, no matter what it is. You're continually scanning everybody to make sure everything's okay, and you're ready at any moment to go intervene if there's something happening that looks like it's not a good thing. So I did this, without any intention at that time, but I was driving along and I noticed that there was something funny. It was one of these boulevards where there was a lot of traffic, and there was a man who was acting strange, and all the cars kept going back and forth. But I noticed that there was something strange, and automatically I went to go find out what was happening. He'd fallen off his bicycle, and this was before helmets, so I think he'd actually hit his head. He was in bad shape. And so I helped him, get an ambulance and go off. So I thought, well, that's pretty good that I did that, but why did I do that? Why did I automatically see there was something wrong and go help him? Well, it wasn't because I was this great person. It's because I had had so much repetition of being in a situation where I'm looking out for somebody that needs help and being ready to help automatically. And so, it works even if we're not trying. And, we've had a recent example of a 16-year-old rookie lifeguard that saved a 10-year-old. You might have read about that. That's right here in our community. And he said, I'm not a hero. I was just doing the job I was trained to do. And to me, that is another indication. If you have training and repetition and the intention to help, then it'll come automatically without even thinking. So I think those are two examples of what I'm talking about that happen without even noticing. So Dr. Hansen and many others are saying that we have the ability to create new dimensions in our brains all the time. So we can accomplish, learn, change, and deepen our values and develop our spiritual life in this way. So I think both of those examples I gave, if you were to assign a spiritual value to them, it would be something like willingness to help, being there to help people. And so what these people are saying is we can actually develop that so that we aren't the people driving past. When someone needs us, we actually notice. We can do that on purpose. So our ability to foster our spiritual values is much more vast and potential than we ever thought. So what is the most important value that you hold? What spiritual value is really important to you?
Love, honesty,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have a chance to grow that. So, just to be clear, this is not about fixing yourself or filling some deficit you think you have. This is about growth in things that you already have, you already care about, and are important to you. You can grow those things. So how do you do that? Well, I've chosen the word intention, and it's because there's a saying that you can't go to San Jose unless you have the intention to go to San Jose. So, there's no point putting gas in your car, checking out the address with GPS. If you don't have the intention to go there, you're not going to go there. So this next part is all about intention. So we can take a look at how that works. There's actually some steps that are involved that come from various, I didn't make these up. They come from Dr. Hansen's work. They come from Buddhist doctrine, actually. And from my own experience, like I said, working on the playground, noticing myself how things can happen. So we can look at the slides now. So these are steps to set spiritual intention, and I know I was an elementary teacher. I can't help it. I have, slides and steps and stuff, so bear with me. The first step is to not hit the microphone. The first step is to clarify through reflection. Identify your core values and what you'd like to achieve. An example would be all the things you said: compassion, love, all the things you said. And for this month, joy is the one that's picked for us to think about. So extend really your open-hearted curiosity when you ask this question. What is it that I really would like to have more of in my life? How can I express this value that I have even more in my life? So the next step would be to write it down. It helps you to make it more concrete when you write things down. And you have to be clear and succinct to write it down. So you write down a statement of something that you can do. Keep it in the positive, something that you can do. And put it where you can see it. Maybe in the bathroom mirror, or in the kitchen somewhere where you're going to see it regularly, so that you're reminded. And now I think I'm going to, I'll do that in a moment. So the next thing is to state in the positive. And that's what I was just saying. Choose what will make you and others around you happy. Make it a positive thing. Make it a joyous thing. So it's not just for yourself, it's for the other people around you too. So when you mention compassion, for example, you have compassion for yourself, and you also have compassion for others. So it's both ways. Okay, and then have checkpoints. So decide on regular times where you will remember your intention, because the more times you remember it, the faster you'll blossom it. In the same way that the more times you go up and down that path, the more strong the path becomes. It's just the same. So remind yourself at specific times, like before you go to sleep, think about your intention. And maybe review over the day and congratulate yourself over those times where you have actually experienced that value and made something happen in your life that you wanted to make happen. Enjoy the process is the next thing. And this might sound, I don't know, maybe it sounds good to you. Sounds good to me. Because, a lot of times people think of meditation, for example, as very laborious. They sit down and they struggle to make their mind quiet and so forth. This is not that. This is enjoyable. It should be fun, and it should be something that you look forward to. So enjoy the process, and you'll find what happens is you kind of open up and look for opportunities for it to appear or to be manifest. So trust the universe. Be open to the unexpected. Make a big deal out of small experiences. We're always told not to make a big deal out of small things. This is the opposite. If you have a small experience of compassion, make a big deal out of it. Savor it. Take 10 minutes, if you can, or as much time as you can, to soak it in. One of the things that Rick Hansen says is, we have these fleeting moments all the time, but the reason why they don't stick is because we move on too quickly. And that to get that path to be really solid, we actually need to stop and savor that for a few minutes and think about it and let ourselves feel that joy, or let us feel that compassion, or let us feel that love. deeply for a few minutes before we move on and do the next thing. And finally, let your intention become who you are. Because eventually, in the same way that I automatically helped that person that fell off their bike, it felt more like it wasn't something that I was doing on purpose. It was more like something that became who I was. I became a person that watched out over other people. And so look for that. Watch for your intention to start becoming more and more your own nature and your own natural reaction. You'll find that you'll become a compassionate person more. You'll notice that. Maybe you already are. I'm sure you all are. But you'll notice more that it's become more of your natural reaction to things, that you react naturally, automatically, with that compassion that you really value. So if you watch, you'll see it will establish itself in you.
I found the following words on the Instagram page of Scott Stillman, author of books with titles like Nature Therapy and Wilderness, The Gateway to the Soul. He writes, "On a map, the many turns of a river may look haphazard, but every bend is the path of least resistance. A river doesn't reach the sea in a straight line, and neither will we. Trust the twists. They are leading us exactly where we're meant to go."